everyone, welcome to my Primavera tutorial. Now we are going to enter for our activities duration. So there are two ways to enter our duration. One is to enter the start date and finish date. The other one is also to enter the start date and the original duration. So let us say our project is 8 months duration, that is equivalent to 240 days, and the project is already started on April 1. So on the start date column, take days, so the calendar dialog box will appear. Then just select one. Be sure that the date is according to your schedule, that is on April 2023. After selecting date 1, take select button, then your start date of your first activity, which is the preliminaries, will update. Now let's have our finish date, so we will update this one. Click the cell, take this button, then we are going to move the calendar to our target completion date, 26th of November. So that would be 240 days. Now take select. So here we already have 240 calendar days on our original duration. We will update our site preparation, excavation. This time we will going to use the other method. Take the start date, say your excavation start on 10th of April, then take select button, then a confirmation dialog box will appear. It will ask you if you want to start on or after constraint the date. Click yes. There our bar moved to the start date of the activity, which is on 10 of April. Then the duration, let's update the duration. Say this is 80 days for our excavation. Enter. Now your Gantt chart activity bar updated. The other method of entry of your data is just type the duration, but also it will be coupled of another method by assigning relationship. I will explain that later. So let's have the foundation, let's say 45 days. So every level at 45 calendar days duration. See, this one is 45, fourth floor, 45 days. That is under our structural activities. Architectural, masonry, 55 days. Ceiling finishes, 155. Floor finishes, 155 as well. Our finishes, let's just say wall finishes rather, let's just say 75. Then our pending works, 100 days. Then thermal protection, 180. Aluminum glass, let's have 55 days. And for our site development, it's 55 days. So you're already into your duration of all your activities. So from structural down to our site development, we only input the duration. So what happens is all of our start date start on the current data date, that is in 7 of April. You can also notice here in our Gantt chart. So to correct our Gantt chart, we will add relationships between our activities. So let's start with the foundation. Click foundation. Below, you have different tabs. We have general, status, resources, codes, and relationship, and so on. So here in relationships, you can assign predecessor. So let's assign our predecessor for our foundations is excavation. So after excavation, the foundation will proceed. So take in, but we will decide that we will start our excavation not on the end of the excavation activity, on like 25% of its completion. So here we have lag. This is a utility that you could exploit, where you can have your activity starts not on the start of the activity and the finished date of the activities of the predecessor, but in between. Let us say we have negative 60. So this means that this foundation, it would start 60 days prior to the completion of the first activity or the predecessor. And it could be also said that our foundation will start 20 days after the excavation elapsed duration. Take a sign, proceed to next activity, ground foundation. So we assign our predecessor, which is the foundation. Take this button, assign. Then we don't want our column below ground to start on end date of the foundation activity. So let's have negative 35 calendar days. Then let's proceed to our ground. Same, our predecessor would be column below ground. Take this assign button. Then again, we will going to start the ground floor 10 days after the start of below column ground activity. So let's have negative 35 and proceed to second floor. Let's have our predecessor ground floor. Take add, then assign negative 35. Then third floor, let's have our predecessor second floor. Same process, take a sign, enter negative 35 log. Then fourth floor, we will have our predecessor third floor, enter, assign again, negative 35 days of lag. Then let's take roof deck. Then our predecessor will be the fourth floor. Take assign button. Let's have negative 35 lag days. Then here in architectural, in masonry, we will have our predecessor after or during the ground floor activities. So we have our predecessor ground floor, take a sign. So let's just say 50% of time elapsed for the ground floor. We're going to start our masonry. So our ground floor is 45. So let's say negative 22 days. Ceiling, our predecessor will be masonry works. So take assign button, assign negative 22 days. Now let's have our floor finish. So we have predecessor masonry, take add, have also a negative 22 log. Then our wall finishes. So we will have our masonry works for predecessor, negative log 22 days. Then our painting works. So we will have our predecessor floor and wall finishes. So add, let's have our log on the floor finishes. Let's have a log of negative 100. Then on painting, same log of negative 100. So for our thermal protection, we'll have our predecessor foundation, that would be negative 10 days. For our doors, louvers, our predecessor would be, take this assign, we will have our wall finish and floor finish. So add this one. For our wall finish, we have negative 100 for lag. Then for wall finish, the other one was floor, this one is for wall. And for our wall, we have negative 20 there. So enter. Now glass, we will have wall finish as well as floor, same. So take the assign, So for our floor, negative 100 lag, then negative 20 lag for wall finishes. So down to our very last item, site development, road and parking. We will have the roof deck for our predecessor. So after we finish the roof deck, we're going to start our site development. So we will not going to place the lag, but let's us stick on the finish start relationship. We're almost done. So as you see here, our Gantt chart does not reflect yet our lag, as well as here in our start date. It still remains on 7 of April. Other item to consider is your resources. Now, so to appreciate input of our resources, let's have another column. Just stick here, or you can use this one, columns. Now we have to take for our cost. See, budgeted total cost. Take this button to add the budgeted total cost to our list, but we move this below there, then take OK. So now you could see our budgeted total cost. So here we have no budget for every activities. So take the preliminaries, then this time you go to resources tab. Take this resources tab, then add resources. Let us say preliminaries. On the assign resources dialog box, let's look for like office supplies, team puzzles, things like that related to our preliminaries. This one, building permit, temporary facilities. We will include this demolition and pull out. Include this one, mobilization of materials and equipment. Take this assign button. Now it's already assigned. You see that we have already our budgeted cost. That is the sum of all resources that we add. That is equivalent to 3 million. Let's go to our excavation. Mechanical excavation. Then take assign. Now our excavation also have a cost. Then our foundations. Let's have materials and manpower for our resources. So we have reinforcing bar, cement. You can also create in the resources materials that are needed for your project. Like for example, we don't have a sand and gravel in here, so you could add those materials in the resources. How to add those materials in the resources, I have a video on it. Just look for that video. So let's have these materials for the meantime. Let's add. Now we have already cost for our foundation. So add also other activities with resources. So far, we will leave that to you to add those resources on all the activities you have. Now after that, just close this one and we will run our schedule. So before that, we notice that these activities in the preliminary already started. So please take these preliminaries. Let's go to status. Then take this started. So during the analysis, your activity will remain started on 1 of April. So now after that, there's no other activity that started before our current data date. So that's it. So in our menu, take tools, then here we have schedule, then today's date is 9, so change our current data date to 9, then select, so here in 9, then take schedule. So you notice that previously we have entered only duration on these activities under structural, architectural, and site development. So now they already reflected to the respective start date dependent on how you enter your datas. So like this one, our foundation started on 30 of April, which is 20 days after the times elapsed of excavation. So you have noticed these two items. So the same with other activities.